or you can even just simply unmute yourself to ask a question. And Jeanette is open to questions throughout her session as well. So you can always just pop something into the chat or unmute as Jeanette is chatting with us this evening. So we'll get started. So like I said, we're incredibly excited to have Jeanette here with us today. Jeanette is a first-generation Italian-Canadian settler with roots in the design arts, who creates in the disciplines of drawing, painting, printmaking, painting, sculptures, and sound. So thank you very much, Jeanette, for speaking with us this evening and sharing more about your career as an artist, your artwork, as well as your experiences with us. We're really excited to have you here with us this evening, and I'm going to pass it off to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you everybody for coming. This is so exciting. I feel like we should have like a glass of wine or something, and wouldn't that, and just chat, and it feels like we're, pretend we're all in the same room, and that would be so wonderful. So what I've done is I have a little bit to say at the beginning, but ultimately what I've done is I just gathered up videos that I had made over the course of time. And I thought what I would do is just kind of show those videos, let them run through, and then talk a bit about the work that's in those videos. And at the same time, if you guys have any questions or whatever, and the idea is that it'll just be running in the background. So if there's anything you want me to like stop the video to see or whatever, then I'm okay with that too. Now, I'm hoping I don't run too long, which, might be possible. But anyway, in thinking about making this talk, the big question in my brain was, how do you start? Where do you start? So I kind of thought that if I just tried to answer the question of how I got here, that might be something of interest. So that's what I think I'm going to try to do. And yeah, there. So I think it's the title of this one that seemed to fit. It's like, how did I get here? One step forward, two steps back. So for me, and I think most of you already know, and that's what's fun about this, is that, I come from a family of makers. My mom was a seamstress, and my dad was a carpenter, and we were taught how to sew from an early age, and Dad led us into the workshop. I actually hesitate when I say that because I'm going, I think he let us in there, but we did play there, right? Because it was in our basement, so we were always in there. We were playing with all his tools, and I mean from a really early age, because I had a bandsaw on me. So for me, I'm not surprised that I gravitate to making things, because making was just something that we all did. And transitioning from that is, when I went to school, like my formal education actually started in high school. I was kind of sent to a feeder school for OCA. It had an extensive art program. So I was actually able to learn all the disciplines in high school, and they allocated half days, regardless if you were in a 5-year program or a 4-year program. You were allocated every day, every afternoon of the entire program. You had art. You had 3 instructors, and you did painting, drawing, and everything. And you were just, the idea was that it was a feeder school for OCA and Sheridan, and I gravitated to design arts. So I, enjoyed, 35 years as a graphic designer and illustrator. I did a lot of fun things. I was agency of record for a few companies that are notable, and I enjoyed doing photo shoots and a lot of different things. A lot of things that I did as a graphic designer actually came into play with any installation work or even exhibitions that I like to do, curatorial. The color, you know, it's just so inbred in me. So the having that kind of a background and coming into the visual arts, it was interesting to see how they married, but I actually spent a lot of time trying to separate them. So I thought I'd start by showing you a few things. Oops, there. Thought I'd start by showing you a few things. So these are um, things that are specific, I guess, to where I grew up and as well here. You know, I did magazine ads. I did a lot of, my illustration work was actually very cartoony. Um, I actually took at Sheridan, I took a cartooning course as well. So I kind of gravitate to, I wanted to do children's stories. So I worked for Holt Renfrew and Winston, and did a lot of their marketing material for their school books. And I did a magazine subscription that was all about winemaking. The old Credit Brewery logo I enjoy showing people because the fact that it's still there, you know, after all these years. And I was made, I wasn't aware when they went to register it, to trademark it, because they have to trademark the artist and the company that created it. I found out I was the only female artist or designer who had created a microbrewery logo, which I thought was kind of cool, and sad at the same time, right? It's like there's a lot of women that are good designers. Tempo Plastics is in our area, here in Innisfil, and that was a logo that I'd created for them, and the Innisfil Arts, Culture, and Heritage Council logo. I actually really like the little Winterhawk logo because there is no joy than walking into an entire hockey arena and everybody has got something that you've designed on their shirt, right? Anyway, for me, it was kind of fun. And then the Ice Corp logo, which is very much to this. Now, the comedy club was actually quite fun because it didn't exist for too long. And the Old Credit Amber Ale label, I believe that's still in existence. So these are some fun things that I created. And I thought it was worth making a note because I think with artists, I think that for me, I enjoy seeing, you know, understanding more about where they came from to understand the work that they do. So in coming to transitioning from the design arts to the school to visual arts was actually really serendipitous. I'll play this so that you can see. This actually is a piece that is really reflects the aspect of a knowledge of graphic design and technical skills in designing as well, you know, how the effects of going to visual arts school, fine arts school can affect what you do. This is actually was a project. It was for Marlene Hilton Moore, and it was considered a sculpture project. So what I had to do, let me just, there it is. Let me see if I can get rid of the sound for you. So what I did is the sculpture is there. You might be familiar with that piece there. And what my project was, it was an installation in my backyard. And I took 2 weeks and I photographed it at different times of the day. And because I was really into shadows, I love shadows. It's like there's just so much more to know about shadows because it's just it just seeps into every kind of nuance. But anyway, so and then I took the photographs and I manipulated them in Photoshop to create this very wonderful digital mapping kind of effect. And the whole thing became so abstracted that it was both eerie and wonderful. It kind of talked about time. It talked about the environment. It talked about just different modes of thinking. So it's, I thought, a good example of you know, how the graphics and the visual arts came together for me at Georgian. But what is funny is how I ended up at Georgian, how the whole transition happened. I actually went to Georgian to do, I registered for their post-grad program called Web Design and Production, because I had clients who needed me to know more about web design. Because as their designer, I needed to know, you know, how that all works, so I would be able to deliver what I needed to deliver for them, you know, for their marketing. Anyway, so to register for this program, I had to go into D building. Now, the minute I went into D building and I smelled the ink and the paint and, you know, the plaster, I was a goner. And I had to go. I actually spent more time. I almost missed, it was Jane that had to register me. And I'm only mentioning that because some of you know Jane. But anyway, I almost missed registering because I spent more time going in and out of the rooms, just, you know, feeling this nostalgia, because my old school of TL Kennedy was very much felt like that, because they had, you know, I think it was like 5,000 square feet of space that was all dedicated to the arts. And you know, with everything there. So it just really felt like I needed to be there. So I thought how serendipitous it was that, you know, this transition of mine from one to another. So, and talking about transitions, the sculpture that was in the other piece, and I think some of you will recognize it here, I thought that this whole idea of one step forward, two steps back, that piece was created in school. And what happened in 2010 was I was given an opportunity to exhibit at the Blue Water International Exhibition in Port Huron. And this is this piece here. I don't know, I guess you can see it. I can't because I've got you guys over top of it. There you go. It's actually my first public art piece in Port Huron. It was quite interesting because I realized how much I didn't know and about even the whole procedure. John Survey, a wonderful fellow who it was crazy. He actually contacted me because he was looking for sculptors. I was a member of a website called BConnects, and so was he. And he was looking for Canadian sculptors to join in because it was supposed to be an exhibition to bring Canadian and Americans together. I had a piece in Sarnia as well. So when he contacted me, I went, well, I have some, and he says, took a look at, because they all had to be sponsored. So I sent them my images and they sponsored them. And lo and behold, I got into this amazing exhibition that was all throughout Port Huron and all throughout Sarnia. And it was a crazy experience. And I learned every time how much I don't know, every time, you know, because I'm very much, okay, I'll do that. And then I find out, oh my God, you know, the whole idea of taking a piece of sculpture into the States, I had it in my car, in my Honda, and it was just across and I pulled up to the border and the fellow said, what have you got there? And I said, well, I have a sculpture, it's going into Port Huron. And he said, I'm not sure you're supposed to do that. I said, well, nobody told me I wasn't. She says, okay. And I was able to go through, right? So luckily, somebody who sponsored it decided that they would like to keep it. So that alleviated me trying to get it back across the border. So, but anyway, you know, those of us that are sculptors will, you know, so yeah, and it's an interesting thing, you know, it's for an artist that it's not just the making of the work, there's just so much more. And I guess for me, the exhibition that really helped me, and I'm sharing this because I found it and I haven't seen it, And you guys, maybe some of you guys might recognize some of these people. But this was my student exhibition for Georgian in my last year with Amanda and Alyssa and Jillian and Tiffany and I. And we actually were lucky enough to have it in Campus Gallery at the time. And I think that it was, you know, when I saw it, I kind of went, yes, this is, because I did do, and I think all of us had to do a program for gallery studies. And I actually really loved it. And I think this is a precursor to a lot of the things that I'm doing here, you know, that it's dorky soundtrack. And you might see some people and go, oh my God, I know that person. But it was a fun thing to do. And it was more, you know, the idea of the first time you're putting work up for people to see and you're bringing it together with, you know, artists and trying to make sense of an exhibition, and then it coming up, and then, you know, just that whole thing really is a bug that kind of gets under your skin. Like even when I do it here, like it doesn't matter what exhibition, it's just that feeling when it's up, and that you know that you've put something up and that people will come, and the experiences they have with it is really, for me. So I'm sharing this because of the fact of it being a memento, as well as, you know, fun to see it. So with most of my exhibitions, they all have the theme. It's not a theme, I hate the word theme. They have an underpinned interest in reality, but reconstructing reality. And I guess it's because of I do spend a lot of time in thinking of remaking myself, or trying to understand myself more, so that, you know, I can actually find out um, the core of me, you know, which I think a lot of artists do. But this exhibition, and again, with the, you know, one back to, this was an exhibition that happened because of a Georgian College student that got a job there. And she wanted me to bring my work. It is also the reason that this piece was created. And I, you know, and it's an amazing thing to do this talk and go through all the videos that I have to see the work that's been done. And I remember at this time that it was that I really wanted to try to bring the painting off the wall into the space, into being a sculpture. And I was really strongly thinking about the whole idea of cross-pollinating disciplines, where, you know, a painting, why is it called a painting? Why is it called a sculpture? And I think it was because of the fact that I was really, I disliked the categorization and the hierarchy of things, you know. And I think that it's just, you know, it's been from time immemorial, right? The labeling of things. And I think that as we all are entrenched with all the labeling of things and the categorizations, that it's made it so difficult for us to fracture that and be able to see life differently. Well, not us, but a lot of people, to be able to take in new notions. You know, I think the quote I like the best is from Alan Watts. You know, that um, the brain, because of our automatic brain, we look at things and we do name them, you know, instantaneously, according to him, that, you know, that's a chair, or that's a table, or that's a, you know, and they see a painting, or they see this and that or whatever, and your brain will automatically equate it to something that you know, or you've known, or is imprinted in your mind. But when your brain sees something that it just can't grasp, it is the opening that fractures the programming of your brain that allows you to think differently, you know. So and those are thoughts that really motivate me. This is the creation of visual syntax, and this was my first working with the wonderful Sarah Elizabeth Leonard. She had seen the piece at Georgina, and she asked me if I would bring it here to the front room gallery. And the front room galleries it kind of evolved from her home, where she had a small front room that her and Corey were using as a gallery. So this was a wonderful exhibition that I was able to be part of with Aileen Cucci and Michael Taylor. And I'll turn the sound down because it is part of the sound this was the first time in sharing the sound aspect of my work. We're taking a photograph and taking the code to it. I'm grappling for the word. It's the PostScript code of to help you to visualize that. With a JPEG, there is a code, and that's called raw data. And you can take that raw data and you can parse it through something called the music generator that'll pair the numbers and the dots and the dashes to a note. And it was developed by John Cage. And I think you all know John Cage. So anyway, I was playing with this a lot because of the fact that, just trying to alter things. Music is supposed to be universal. And so with understanding, it would be something more in tune with everyone. Some of these works, I'll turn it down a little bit because this gets annoying. Does anybody have any questions? No. So this body work was very much playing with the blind spot. It's when it first came, because this is when the gathering first was developed, the sculptures that the notion of, the inner and the outer in one glance, that it's united, and the fact that with visual mechanics, which I really, really enjoy, is that there is a spot in our vision, in the mechanics of our vision, that our brain cannot read, or that is not picked up from what you're looking at. And what the brain does, it fills in the information. So it's it pieces it together from what it sees to fill up that space. So it's an interesting thing when you're trying to think of, why we all see things differently, and we could all be looking at the one thing, but our interpretation of it is so different. And I think it's because when our brain tries to interpret that space to fill it in, is drawing from their own program knowledge. And each one of us has different experiences, so our understandings would be different. So this was, a mark of an exhibition. Now, this exhibition was where Gary Evans had come in to see the work, and he was the new coordinator for Georgian College. And I had put in the application to be able to exhibit, and asked if it was the first time, have Sarah Elizabeth Leonard, who actually I went to school with as well, be able to curate that show. It was just a matter of the whole serendipitousness of life, that you're taking one person, you're in one situation to travel forward, and continue the relationship and to see what happens, was of interest to me. So the premise for the exhibition at Georgian College was just the time frame. It was from, seeing the work there to when the new work would be in the current time frame. So, which worked out actually better than I thought it would, because I was able to take the work from 2014 and have it exist in 2018. It took 4 years because of the aspect with the college at the time. There was some situations happening. But anyway, it does have, I'm going to pause that. This one gives really, really kind of puts the root to how I think with Carl Jung's phrase that trust what gives you meaning and accept it as your guide. And I think a lot of times when I'm creating work, it's just that whole thing that how it feels, allows me to move it forward. Right. And then when it was at Front Room Gallery, wonderful Claire Bolton saw the work and she invited me to exhibit at the Aurora Cultural Center. So in talking with her and going to see it, they graciously gave me both exhibition spaces to show the work, which was like boggling. It's like, okay. And I was just ever so grateful. So what I decided to do was I decided to expand the gathering so that we had the one space that had just the gathering and the other space, and it had some other artwork that was with it, but the other space had, because she didn't want the other large piece, had the other one, and that's why it's called Deja Vu, because there's moments of the 24 exhibition and in 2015. So, and it's reconstructing the perception, I believe, was what we used as the core theme here, and built it from there. And this is a new body of works. There were new pieces in it that were me playing with different things like skins, pulling skins off of sheets, saving them from artwork and just pulling them in. I had tons of them and utilizing them, and in thinking about the work for the Blue Gallery with the new gathering. What I wanted to do, because it was community, I created work that were in pieces. So there was 10 pieces to the one work, but I would work on it as one piece. And I had this crazed notion that if each piece was purchased, then the piece in itself would create its own community. And it was just, it just was this crazy idea. I'm going to do this, and this is what's going to happen. So everybody's got the piece. And it was like building community and building family. And so that's why those pieces were in with the gathering. It was a wonderful exhibition in the way of informing me on viewers and the reward of some participation that you're just not aware of. Claire was really good in letting me know different things that were happening at the time. Even her, she was surprised, because the other gallery was used for the community room. But when people were coming, she has writers that come in, and children, and people making stories, but poets and things coming in, and other writers doing different classes. So when they had come in, they saw the gathering, and there was quite a few people that just wanted to sit on the floor amongst the sculptures and do their class. And there was kids that just really gravitated to it, and I thought it was wonderful. Claire said that classes, because she has schools that close by, and she has classes that one would come and then others would come to see the larger painting, so that they could pinpoint different things in it. And I thought, I was actually really surprised, because I guess I never dived into the viewer's perspective to that degree until these type of things happened. And I have this most wonderful booklet of different things that were said, like that were shared with me from the kids. So again, now this is an interesting one. This piece here, I've actually had opportunity, because being first generation Italian, I actually gravitated to find opportunities that were in Italy, because I kind of wanted to build that connection. So I connected with two wonderful people, Roberto Ronco, which is a curator in Rovereto, and he does a human rights exhibition. And he actually, which I participate in when I can. I've actually gone there to see it. They hold it in bunkers on a mountain where they have this bell that's the third largest bell in the world, and it's a huge event for that town. So anyway, he called me to say that he was putting together a exhibition for video, and what they were doing is they were asking people just to send him videos, and what he would do is he would stream them from Italy, and he wanted to know whether or not I would know of any places that we could show the videos. So, you know, as in an interest of making it global, but, you know, kind of cutting a lot of the red tape, right? So anyway, I went to Susan Bowes at the library, and I explained the situation to her. And do I have the year here? I don't know. I think it's 2014. Oh no, it's 2017. I went to Susan and explained to her the whole premise of it. Says, can we get, like, you know, big screens, and can this just run? All it was supposed to do was run in the space. Put some chairs in case people wanted to sit there, and just make a note of the reaction. So, you know, people either were going to ignore it, or they'd stand there for a few minutes and notice it, or, you know, just not notice it at all. But anyway, so this is what we did. So this was mine, which it was a hoot, because I sent mine to Italy for it to show up on a screen in Innisfil. And I thought that was very cool. And the whole thing went really, really well. And it's really a fabulous way to, you know, say, hey, library, way to go. Anyway, so here, and it's about the environment. I got, you know, the whole idea is that you have to hear this one. The idea of this is that we're destroying everything so much that there is not going to be anybody to call, right? Like they're just not going to be. Like, you just keep going and it's going to be. So anyway, I'll let you listen to this. It's very short. Well, sorry. It was a fun project, and playing with different, I think GarageBand was one, and just taking, it was a video of me walking and in my shadow, and just being able, and I think iMovie has lots of sounds and things. So it was a really good experiment for me. I'm not saying it's great. I'm just saying it was fun. So, and it makes me smile. Hopefully it makes you smile. And I guess you have to know, like, if you're in Innisfil, you know, what you expect to hear and what you end up hearing. Anyway, a tad corny, but I get a kick out of it. And then this is the 2018, and you know, I am so grateful to say that you guys have seen this exhibition. So thank you. Thank you for being with me. So this is the one that I was speaking to you about that Sarah and I were able to do in 2018. And for those of us that are artists, or even if you're not, I'm happy to say I only have one piece left from this exhibition, which is a wonderful, and I am just so grateful. And again, the code, the postscript code, it is to the painting, the beginnings, new beginnings. was interesting making these works. I think all of you know that this towards the end of completing them, it was kind of treacherous because my mom was sick in the hospital. And then there was a blizzard the night of the opening, which was insane. But it's easy to see with this work here as well that, you know, it is layers within the work that I'm interested in trying to make apparent to the point that people will ask questions of it. I do consider these drawings. They are created with pastel, which is liquefied with rubbing alcohol. So it actually solidifies to something hard and then it's sealed. And only because of material specific do I consider it to be drawing more so than painting. But if I'm making a note of the paintings that were in the Georgina show, my paintings are very painterly with a lot of them pastel paint. So with these works and the new sculpture works, take a minute. These ones here were a progression away from these ones here, and I can't point to things, I guess. You know, where it's the continuous line that creates form. And the line itself is nothing, but in itself everything, right? And with the addition of paint. So primarily you're looking at a piece that has mostly material specific for drawing, and then adding the painting makes it a confusion of what it is. So people basically call them all paintings, which, and I'm not quite sure, like, you know, I'm not really hung up on it, but it does play to, you know, how we need to categorize things. You know, regardless of what you're looking at, you need to find a way to categorize it. And even the ones with absolutely no paint on it at all is considered a painting, which is interesting. For my work, the titles are very important. I actually don't feel work is finished unless a title kind of, you know, materializes in some form or fashion, right? And because I have to, and I love to, I had to add printmaking, but I was concerned about going over time. So I wanted to put a piece that is at the Quest Art School and Gallery show that I'm hoping is going to open soon. So I'm hoping that I can get out to see it. Virginia was wonderful in making some opportunities where we could go and see the work and talk about it and share it with people that way. And it was great to be able to see it up because they were created and then they went on, as much of a lot of artists had happened, they went on this big hold where, you know, didn't know what, in a limbo, right? One of the artists, Michelle, had started making reference to them as Sleeping Beauty, that they're all sleeping there waiting, you know, to be awakened. And you know, that was actually a thought that kind of pacified everybody. But it was an interesting thing to go into them and see them there, you know, that it was just one step closer to them being shared. And it really hit home, you know, the whole idea. I know a lot of people, you know, think about the viewer when you're creating the work, but the rationale that the artwork becomes alive when it's viewed really kind of was apparent when, you know, they were locked up and be getting in there to see them. And it was like, wow, you know, the whole show, you could feel everything coming together as one voice in the space. It's a great exhibition. I'm hoping to get there soon. And then again for curator, oh wait, I missed the one. I'm putting this one in because of the fact that I started the Innisfil sculpture group here in Innisfil, and we had an opportunity with Susan Bowes. Now, what happened was I belong to International Magazine, what's it called? The Sculpture Magazine, sorry. And they had sent me an email when after I registered, and I think Sue Hickling I have to thank for, you know, getting me motivated to sign up for the Sculpture Magazine. Anyway, they sent me a notice saying because I was a member of the magazine that they would, I could participate in International Sculpture Day. And there's no fee or anything, and it's just a matter of they'll promote it. So you know, you could create an event, or you could just create some work and then you could share it and they'll help promote it. And I thought this was a very cool idea. And I thought I was aware that Barry had done it previously, I think 2 years prior, and went to that. And I thought that was great. And I thought this would be a wonderful thing for Innisfil to, you know, to give it a go. So I first asked Susan Bowes to say, you know, if we did have artists that wanted to do this, you know, would you be able to find us locations? And, you know, Susan, the way Susan is, she went, yeah, we'll sort something out, you know, and I went, okay, great. And then I went to, you know, Christina Luck and Timothy Lauren and Dennis Boulahan, who does wonderful fire guys that out of hay and he lights up. Gail Esau, Mary Salucci, and asked them. I said, do you want to do this? And because there was no honorarium at the time, it was just a matter of taking work that we had and to be able to put it in different locations. Actually, I should run this while I'm doing it. Otherwise, I may run out of time. I just got to get okay, good. Put them in unlikely places. And it was, you know, an interest of mine to, you know, to be able to engage the community in the way of art. I guess I, you know, vice chair for the Innisfil Arts Council, and I actually helped form the Art Council. So, you know, I have this interest in trying to engage the community and sharing the wonderful artists that I know with the community and trying to give whatever opportunity that I can. So this was our exhibition. You know, we put things, this is in Town Hall. We had them, I think if you saw the first one, they were actually in, you know, in the, where they do the town meetings. So it was actually fun for people to come in and see them in there. And then we had them in the display cases, and then we had them in some different buildings as well. So I don't know how my time's doing. I'm getting there. Because this is Kim, because some of these are great.
We have about 9 minutes left, Jeanette.
We have 9. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll zoom forward and I'll share with you without the sound the because we didn't talk much about the gallery, and if you guys want to chat, right, I'll share with you the opening that was here at the gallery. Anyway, so hopefully you enjoyed that talk, and because some of you have been with me on this journey, you know, you're aware of all this work. So I'm grateful that you're here with me tonight. Anybody, is there any questions that I can answer? I will email you all later and say, how'd I do? But for right now, it's like, no questions? Everybody's muted.
Can you hear me?
Oh, wave, I don't know.
Hear you?
Oh, there you are. Hi.
When you start a picture, do you have something in mind that you're going to do? Have you already sketched it out, or do you just go and see where it takes you?
Yeah, I don't have anything. A part of it is because of the fact of when I first went to Georgian, it was and being an illustrator, you know, if you asked me to draw something, I could actually I could draw something for you. So I had a real concern about trying to find my own voice. So I adopted early when I was there the notion that if I thought about nothing, that I wanted to see what I would make. And I wanted to see how authentic it would be. Right. So I don't try to fix a work, right? I work on something and it just is what it is, right? Good, bad, or indifferent. When it's done, it's done. I won't go back and try to fix up a mark or a line or anything because of the fact that I don't think that plays into what I'm trying to get at, because I'm not trying to make a perfect work. I'm trying to make an authentic work. And I think that we all have so much information within us of different things that, you know, I think it affects what we do. And, you know, and it's so easy to see because like the sculptures, the gathering, I have people who will say it's indigenous. And you know, I've asked indigenous people, they go, are you crazy? You know, that's not indigenous, right? But people have a specific thing in their mind that they think is indigenous. So when they see something that's similar, they go, that's indigenous. So it's an interesting, you know, so anyway, I try to have like nothing. Now with sculpture, that's kind of a difficult thing to do. So with sculpture, what I do is I have the materials I want to work with, and I need a plan to be able to create it. And then as long as I can get past a certain point, what happens to it is serendipitous. So it may morph into something else, because just with printmaking, there is this element like you can have a plan, but there's with mine, because it's experimental, right? It's easier for me just to do the process and to see what happens, right? Like it's this last body of work that was at print that I showed, and there's some pieces that are at the gallery in Quest. There was a situation where one of the prints, I had this overwhelming desire just to rip part of it, and then it, you know, the thing was to then what to do with it. Then it's like, oh my god, no, what the frig do I do with that? Right. So, you know, it's like nothing, just leave it, bend it over, I stitched it up. And I recalled I had some beautiful paper that I had just purchased, and I put a layer of that underneath it. So it's kind of like it just kind of, but primarily for the drawings and the paintings, there are absolutely no intentions there at all. It just, whatever it does happens. Sometimes it can be very dark, or sometimes it can be crazy fun.
Very intuitive.
Pardon?
You use your intuition.
Yeah, I think that people call it, that's, you know, that it's your intuition of, you know, what one mark. It's an interesting thing, because I actually tried to find out if that was a valid way of thinking. And I do a lot of research for the crazy notions that I have, just to say, okay, like, is that nuts or what? So and I actually found something that parallels with it, is in science, there's or in nature, there's what's called self-organizing particles. And self-organizing particles will start, and it's sand, you'll see it in sand, where the wind will pick it up and it will just become chaotic. and then it does this thing, and then when it settles, it's this just beautiful mark making. Like the sand just has these wonderful hills. So there is a rhythm and a harmony to things that if you are able to tap into that, because we are energy, right? It will allow you to just have the marks happen how they're supposed to happen. I don't know if that's sounding crazy, if you're understanding what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think a lot of, Joanne, your work is like that, where I can tell that you've really, when you're doing your plein air, you've really, you've got these wonderful, loose, whimsical brush strokes that I know that you're just zoned right out, and you're just picking up on whatever vibes out there, and you're just making these wonderful marks. And that's just basically what it is, that you've been able to tap into something allows you, it's like this meandering that, one mark will lead to another mark, to another mark, to another mark.
Yeah.
Jeanette?
Yeah.
It's Shelley. I'm just curious, did you finish that fabric piece that we talked about when we were at the gallery that time?
The fabric piece?
You know that you had,
weaving?
no, you had a mold and you were gonna use some fabric. You weren't quite sure where
yes.
you were gonna go.
Yeah, it's still here. I'm working on it.
Ah.
It's called pandemic. It's called the pandemic because it started. It was supposed to be. It's in relationship to to clothing, and talking about fast fashion and how material doesn't biodegrade very quickly, and how if it does, it's got chemicals. And then all of a sudden, masks started bothering me more than cloth, right? They've got all these masks everywhere. So it was just a matter of, I wasn't sure, I need ventilation for some of the materials, and I wasn't aware of that. So I wanted to wait until I could actually have the gallery open. And then of course it got closed down, and then it's part and parcel to needing specific amount of time. And it's part of my challenge with the gallery, right? That I need time where because to work, intuitively, you can't have other things that need to dictate your time. So I need to find that time to be able to just focus on that. So it's still all the material is being cut up, and I'm pacifying myself with that, but I haven't actually started filling the molds yet.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, me too. I just, oh geez, it's like one of those things, and I need to do it soon, because I think that we're going to try to do the International Sculpture Day for last year got postponed, and that is what it was supposed to be part of. So April 24th is the International Sculpture for 2021. So I do now have a deadline, which will work great.
Good.
Yep. So I hope you enjoyed it. I think we're almost out of time. Yeah, we're 1 minute over. So thank you everybody for staying with me. And please email me if you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it.
You're my focus group. How can I do this better?
No, it was great, Jeanette.
Great. It was great.
It was awesome
excellent.
to hear you. Everything was perfect. You talk really well and explain everything, and yeah, it was very enjoyable.
Was
Thank
it?
Yes.
Yes.
I was hoping for a dialogue, because I was really missing like the whole camaraderie thing, right? Especially seeing you all. It's like, oh my God, you're my buds. So,
Well, I know we're over time, and I may have made this comment to you before, Jeanette, but I'll make it again. I absolutely am so fascinated with your ability, with your technical background, like within graphic and design, which you do very well. And if if you took that work and then your artwork, it's just like an oxymoron. They're complete, like you can see some of the transfer a little bit. I'm not saying that doesn't exist, But I really enjoy seeing what I would call your internality, or your, the automatic self, and how it's just a dichotomy. It's so different and refreshing. And I'm very excited to see that in an artist, because it's like you don't have any hangups, and I don't mean that, but sometimes when we do a particular type of work, right, like especially in graphic or design and all that, that it's just such a part of our being and our abilities and our expression, et cetera, et cetera. But you seem to transcend that very well.
No, you're too kind.
Yes, very.
No, I just this crazed person that
No.
doesn't know any better. We just keep
But
going.
anyway, I just wanted to
Appreciate you saying
make
that.
that
Thank you again.
comment.
Much love.
That's what I particularly always respond.
Well,
anytime
given
I see your
given
stuff.
the expertise you have, the skill sets you have, that means a great deal. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that the pandemic, like we can stay out of the red and into like get more release, and hopefully we can all get together soon. Or, maybe we should just do more Zoom meetings, maybe.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Jeanette. That was fantastic.
You enjoy it, Sue? Thank you so much for being
You know
here. I
what?
really appreciate it.
I just really appreciate you talking about your journey and all the different aspects that have got you to where you are today. I just was fascinated by it. Thank you so much
Oh,
for
I
sharing.
appreciate it. I don't do this very often, so it's very nerve-wracking for me. So I wasn't quite sure what would be of interest and how really to present it. And to tell you the truth, I kind of, in starting to look at, it's like, it's like having one poor piece of printmaking up there is like, oh my God, it's like terrible. I just, it's awful for me to have done that, right? But it's like, what do you do? Like, how do you do it? Like, this is a whole new aspect of what we need to be able to do because of the pandemic, right? And it's like honing skills to do this. And it's like, so I am serious. I'll email you.
Yeah, that's okay.
Thank you so much, Jeanette.
Thank
I
you.
think you did,
Thanks, Jeanette.
I think you did a fantastic job. I think we're all very captivated by your presentation, and just thank you so much for showing us all of your exhibitions, your work, just hearing about all of the disciplines that you create, and it's really amazing. So thank you so much for sharing that with us this evening. I think we all really enjoyed it, and thank you to everyone who joined us this evening as well. I just wanted to share before we get off the call tonight that we do have some more artist talks coming up in the month of March. So if you're interested, head over to our website, IdeaLAB.ca. We have one coming up next Wednesday, March the 3rd, with artist Tracy Lay, as well as March 31st with artist Heather Laducier. And they are both in jewelry design, and they will be talking about their work and how they create their pieces. And they do create quite different pieces as well. So I'm curious to see both of their talks coming up this next month. So I invite you to come and join us for those as well. And yes, just a big thank you again to Jeanette for sharing her experiences with us this evening. And I hope you all have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the library. Actually, you're part of my path. We've done so many things together. And thank you everybody for coming out. I don't know how to end this. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Have a great night.
Let's get coffee.
Bye. Good night.
Good night.
Night now.
Night.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Bye, Sue. We need to talk.
Yeah, take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. I don't know how to close this out. There we go.
I don't know. There, you go. Kim, we need to talk, eh? Okay, bye. Okay, well, ladies, thank you so much. Hopefully it was all right. Luckily, it
Fantastic.
was everybody I know. So, yeah, so I don't know if you deem that a success or not. I guess we had some people, so that was good.